As a Cisco Unified Communication expert, you're supposed to add many endpoints like a phone, right? So the phones can number many for a new site. Let's say you're asked to deploy 40 to 50 phones, right? And to deploy any phone, you need to know their MAC address because that needs to be added, uh, when you enter the device details. For instance, if you have got, let's say, any phone, right, 7941, right? Uh, when you add that manually this way, right, it asks for the MAC address here. You can find the MAC address from the back panel of an IP of a Cisco 7941 phone. Uh, and those are alphanumeric numbers, okay? So that's really tough to find out the MAC address. Let me just give you all right, the image, right? Cisco 7941. So somewhere over here on these strips at the bottom, you've got a white and black strip, white strip and the MAC address written with black font. So it's tough, right? When you need to add those 30, 40 phones to your call manager servers, and there is a possibility that the MAC address what you enter in may be wrong, that you typed wrong, right? So in order to collect those MAC addresses, there is a possibility to add the phones automatically to the Cisco Unified Communication Manager. So in this lecture, we're going to talk about how to add Cisco phones into the Cisco Unified Communication Manager automatically, okay? So what you need to do is go to the System tab first and go to Cisco Unified CM, the second option right here. And in this cluster, I have got two servers, the publisher server and the subscriber server. So I'm just gonna go ahead and click on the publisher server because that's the only server that I have turned on for this one. So I'm on the server which is turned on. And if you come to the option right here, which says auto registration information, it says that auto registration disabled on the Cisco Unified Communication Manager. So that what that means is that by default, there would not be any device which can register to this Cisco Unified Communication Manager. All right, so what we need to do is we need to uncheck this option. And this says that to enable auto registration, the starting directory and ending directory number must have a valid range. So if you could notice that starting directory number here is 1000 and the ending directory number is set to be 1000 as well. So that's incorrect, right? Because if you want to enable the auto registration process for hundreds of IP phones, right, the call manager is supposed to assign them a unique directory number to each of the phone, right? So you got to make sure that it has got the pool which can allow the phone to register with a unique directory number. So we'll have to change the ending directory number. So I'm going to say okay, and it's going to take me right here. So I'm going to say okay, starting directory number is 1000 and ending directory number is 1001. So it says for auto registration to be enabled, universal device template and universal line template are mandatory fields. So I would say, okay, no problem. Just gonna say save it. And with the option that we need to choose here. So apply config. All right, so right now there is no phone that is added to this cluster. So this is just a fresh installed Cisco Unified Communication Manager publisher server. It's running right here on my lab, this guy here, .211, so .211. All right, so let's go ahead and try to register an IP communicator to this. So I'm gonna log into one of the computer which has got a Cisco IP communicator installed on it, the soft phone, and try to register that with our Cisco Unified Communication Manager by automatic registration. Okay, so if you see that this device is launched, but it is not registered, it doesn't have a directory number, right? And it says defaulting to TFTP server, so it's not registered at all. So if you go to the option number 4, which is for status, so it says that it is TFTP timeout, right? So basically it doesn't even know the TFTP server because we haven't really assigned any TFTP server to this. So if you go to the option number 2, you see the unified CM1 TFTP is blank, okay? Unified option, the call manager options are basically unknown to this phone. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and right click on anywhere on the Cisco IP communicator, go to the preference, and under the network tab, I'll make sure that the correct network adapter is selected, right? So that's the network adapter through which the IP communicator would try to register, will try to talk to the network which is connected to the Cisco Unified Communication Manager. Okay, so based on this network adapter, there is a MAC address which is generated here. So I could say use this device and it's going to just populate down there the device name. So you can change it as well in case you want, but I'll just leave it as is. Now, this is for the device name section. Now, for the second section, which says TFTP server, I can put in the call manager IP address, which is 192.168.0.211. Let it be that way is because I do not have the second server turned on. So I'm just gonna use this device name, and I would not feed this device name into the call manager. I would say, okay. And let's go to the call manager, right? And see if this device gets registered to the call manager. So it says Cisco IP communicator failed to initialize phone application will now exit. Do you want to restart the IP communicator? Yes. I want to restart the IP communicator. Let's see what happens. So there's some problem with in terms of the sound card. So I'll have to just go ahead and adjust that and come back quickly. Okay, so I have restarted my computer and I could see now the sound device is detected. So I'm just gonna go ahead and take the remote session to this computer. This is my end user device. I'm gonna log into. The sound is no audio devices installed. When I do an RDP to it, it shows it that way. So let me just do it from the console itself. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and launch the IP communicator now. And it's launched here. Let me increase the. Let's go ahead and see if the entries are intact. Okay, yeah, the entries are in place. And we allowed it to go ahead and take some time and see if that registers with the call manager server. Okay, so now we see that our IP communicator is registered with our Cisco Unified Communication Manager and it has got an extension 1000. Though we need to just remove this services because that's an idle URL service which is configured by default. So we're going to go ahead and go to Cisco device and phone. Now we see that this is the entry that we have for our device. We haven't added it manually. We did not enter the device name. It got auto registered, right? So it's in the system. Now we can pretty much customize it, okay? So first of all, the URL, that's the idle URL, because of, since we do not have this configured, it's keep on displaying the host not found error. So I'm just going to remove the idle URL, and let's go ahead and give it some name, John Doe. Let's say give it extension 1000 and save it. On the directory number level as well, we can say John Doe 1000. Yeah, that's okay. Gonna copy paste it, and I'll keep going down until I have got this, and then line text label, because that's a thing which is going to be displayed on screen, okay? And then I can add the external mask as well, so it displays in the format of 10-digit or whatever number you want to send it to the PSTN, right? So it'll be like 6-digit of the prefix will be added to the XXXS, that is your extension to the phone. So I'm just gonna save it and do an apply config. So that's gonna reset my phone. I'm gonna go ahead and take a look at it now. So the phone is going to reboot now, and it should have now John Doe and the extension that we configured here. So we have got John Doe extension 1000. We also have got the 10-digit number 444555, and then the last 4-digit, which is 1000. Okay, so this was pretty easier, right? So had it been like adding the device and then customizing them, like I talked about, that there's a possibility that the MAC address of the device, there could be a typo, right? So it's easier to configure it this way. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to log into another server, another PC for the user, and try to let it register with our call manager server. So I'm gonna let it be the auto-populated device name, and in the TFTP server, I'm gonna say 192.168.0.211. So I'm expecting this to have the extension number 1001, because extension 1000 is assigned to this guy here, the user one. Now I'm gonna go ahead and yeah, so there you go. It got the extension 1001 assigned to it. And same problem, the idle URL, because that's something we haven't removed from the system, and it keeps on coming. So let me go ahead and go to the phone, and we should now see that second entry as well. So this guy here is the second entry from my second PC. So I'm going to go ahead and first of all, remove the idle URL. Since it's not configured, it keeps on trying to find out the idle URL configurations, which is not there. So now I'm going to say this device is added to the call manager automatically. I'm going to say let's give it a name, Jane Doe. This is just for the description, and this device page description doesn't really affect the phone. It's for you as an administrator to know what extension, what device, who's this user, and so on. So we've just added that under the description. On the directory number page, we can say we added as it Jane Doe, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and put it on the description, Jane Doe, and also the extension 1001. And again, at the bottom of it, caller ID, display ID, and line text label as well, 1001. Now for this, again, the DID 444555, and then the last 4-digit as to be XXXX. I'm gonna hit save and do an apply config and go back to the phone page. So it's still unregistered. Most likely it's doing its stuff here. So I'm gonna let it download and come back when it's registered. So I'm just gonna pause the recording for a while. Okay, so our second device is also up and running. So it downloaded its config file. It took some time, and then it came up with this screen here. So now we can go ahead and take a look at the device configuration. We see now the Unified Call Manager 1 is there's CUCM pub, and the TFTP option is 211. That is the IP address of so it has automatically pulled up all the information that is required, right? And it's registered right now. It has downloaded the configuration file from the Cisco Unified Communication Manager. So all the required steps are done, and we are good with 2 registered phones here that have been added to the system on its own. And we can just go ahead and make a call and play with them. So 1001, and it's calling Jane Doe now. And right here we can answer it, and we could see the RTP flowing. The 2 devices are connected with each other. So Jane Doe and John Doe. All right, so that's pretty cool. Now we see that our call manager has got now 2 phones added and registered working, right? They're able to call each other, and this device is not being added manually but automatically. Now remember that we went in this Unified Communication Manager server, which was on, and assigned it the directory number, the starting and end, and uncheck this auto registration disabled option. So if you notice that both of these devices, 1000, 1001, so both of these directory numbers are now allocated. Now, what happens if you if you let the third IP communicator be registered with Cisco Unified Communication Manager? So what I'm going to do is launch this third IP communicator and try to point it to the same Cisco Unified Communication Manager server. And let's see what do we encounter here. So I'm sure that you might have guessed it that the call manager would not be accepting the registration request because you know it's oh, okay, so we have already filled in the information for the TFTP servers into it. Okay, so we don't need to do anything in here. So the device name is added. The TFTP server is added over here as well. Now let's see what happens here. So I'm gonna go to, okay, so it says that file not found for this device, right? So it was not able to download the configuration file. So it tried attempting this configuration file, but it hasn't found it. And the reason for this is because we really did not have enough directory numbers assigned to the Unified Communication Manager auto registration. So if I make it 1000, let's say 10, right, and then save it, now we have got almost 11 directory number pool with it. So starting from 1000 to 1010. So I'm just gonna apply config, and it's gonna let the phones be rebooted. So that way we have got enough pool for the third device to be added and registered with the call manager. So let's go ahead and check the status. So for now, we haven't received the third entry yet. So I'm gonna pause the video for a while this computer while this IP communicator is gonna go ahead and try to register with a call manager server. Okay, so all right, we have got our third phone as well added with extension 1002. The moment we increase the basically the directory number pool. Okay, so this entry is just added. All right, so we're gonna, as usual, make the config changes as, let's say, Sydney, and yeah, the extension is going to be 1002, the last name. I'm going to change the description from here, and remember that idle URL thing, we got to remove it. Let me just go ahead and remove it from here, save it, and then I'm going to go ahead and configure the extension as well. Extension 1002, the description, the display, caller ID, the line text label, which actually appears on top of the phone, and the directory number for the external phone number mask with last 4 digit as XXXX. So it basically matches the last matches the directory number, the last 4 digits of the directory number. So all right, we have pretty much configured the phone here, and this is in unregistered state right now. It's gonna pull the new configuration changes that we applied on it, and there you go. So we have got now Sydney Doe on extension 1002. All right, so pretty much this is it for this section, wherein just to summarize, we added 3 phones into Cisco Unified Communication Manager, and the process to add these phones was not manual, but we went into the system and we enabled the auto registration option, which is by default checked on, which is disabled basically by default. And then we assigned the quota, the directory number quota, and then we further allowed 3 of our phones to be registered with this Cisco Unified Communication Manager server. So there is one more place that you need to take care of. The auto registration is under System, Cisco Unified CM group. So by default, there is only one communication manager group, and there is only one server added to it. We haven't really added a new one. But if you notice that this option, auto registration Cisco Unified Communication Manager group, is checked on. So this group by default allows the phones to be registered. So make sure that this option is also checked if you have got multiple communication manager groups added to the cluster. Since it's a new cluster, it had only one call manager group with only one call manager server. And on that one call manager server, we did uncheck the disable option. So pretty much the 2 places were taken care of. One was the Cisco Unified CM, and the other page was the Cisco Unified CM group, wherein we ensured that auto registration is enabled effectively, and we defined the directory number range for the phones to pick it up. And we have got now 3 phones functional and working. So this is it for this section. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.